We're live. Good morning. Thank you for joining once again. I am Kurt Wettermann, and this is
Richard Wettermann.
And together we are
It's a home process.
we're Wettermann Homes. We are Central Florida home builders, single family, new construction, residential, again in the Central Florida area, West Volusia down to North Osceola and out to parts of Westlake County. What we offer is basically from stock plans to custom plans, depending on your needs and wants. We have stock plans that can be adjusted, or we have a designer that we can have you work with to create a custom plan on your own. Again, we are based out of Central Florida, so we can build within those geographic areas. If you have questions of anything outside that area, please feel free to hit us up. Our contact information is everywhere. We have all social media platforms, phones, emails, smoke signals, whatever you want. We have our cohort here, Maddie, behind the camera. So for future reference, if you ever need help with podcasting or live streams or content, please feel free to reach out to us and we can refer you to her as well. We also start off with commissions. We pay full commissions at slab for you agents out there, just so you know. And so before we get in everything, we always get asked what makes us different. We'll just refer you to every single client we've ever had, and you can ask them. That's basically what it comes down to.
And we recommend you do that with other builders too. So
that was a note that we had to discuss.
And it may be different for different builders, but we actively keep in touch with our clients. I've carried over something that I've done in general real estate. After the close of a sale, I do a 3-month, a 6-month, a 9-month, and then a year contact. You just follow up and say, hey, how you doing? And then after a year, I do it subsequently every year. So right now, I think we did in DeBerry, a couple of houses. We're on year 6, I believe, 6 or 7. So, that their date comes around, and you say, hey, just following up, how's everything going? And, usually people, we maintain good relationships, and usually you don't have any problems when you do that. It's kind of interesting when you keep in touch with people.
Well, that's a twofer.
Yeah.
We physically don't have a model home, but our rapport is such with our clients that they allow us to take prospective clients through their homes. And we're very fortunate because most of our clients leave their homes like model homes anyway, so we're fortunate in that respect. And it's new construction, so there might be some ongoing issues. I built a house 5 years ago for a client, and I was actually just there yesterday. They had some discoloration on some of the tub and sink fixtures, so I just replaced them for them. And so chances are with new construction we'll
And that's
be
not
in
a
contact.
warranty item, is it?
It is not a warranty item, but as a matter of rapport and just following up, because it's like we said, that's our calling card, obviously.
And some builders may, we would love to hear people's reaction when you ask another builder. I'd love to, speak with some of your former clients. Track builders, that might not be a thing, but you can go in the community. Some of your master custom builders, there might be some privacy issues there with people who are super high end who don't want nosing around. But generally speaking, that's always a good way to at least gauge, how a builder reacts to that question. So just enough.
Anyways, on that, diving right in. So the topic of discussion that we wanted to dive into today was multi-generational or ADUs or accessory dwelling units or mother-in-law suites, that kind of thing. We're working probably with, I would say, 5 to 10, 5, 7, maybe almost up to 10 clients that in some respect have a multi-generational vision that they want to achieve. And so from the overall picture, just understanding what and how we can help is we can create an overall, what we'll call an estate plan for you, depending on your needs. And so that could be, definitely includes lot prospecting, because we're working with several clients now where the lot configuration is extremely relevant to the size of the estate that they want to create. And so,
and the layout too. So that's
layout
important.
and configuration layout, because some homes are going to be wider. If they're adding on width, then if you have a 150-foot wide estate plan, meaning the structure, then your pool of lots goes down, and those agents that know that go on the MLS, you can create criteria where you can select and search lots throughout Central Florida for those criteria. And so, again, we have stock plans where we can make adjustments to fit your needs, or we have another client that is basically they're pretty adept, and they created a sketch where they have a residence with an attached and detached ADU with a pool and things like that. So it really runs the gamut as far as what we can offer. Again, it's a plan, so there is no one size fits all. And the joking question I usually ask clients is, well, hey, can you do this? Can you do that? What do you recommend? And ultimately what it comes down to is, what's your relationship like with the people that you're going to bring into your home? Now, we like to bring brevity to construction, and that's we're making humor about it, but it really is. Sometimes usually it's older parents, or sometimes it's brothers and sisters that need extra help. We've had clients with that. And so that dictates, are they going to be in the main residence? Do they want to have privacy in a detached residence? How close do you want it to be? Do you want to have a side entrance where they're not coming inside the house through the main, but they have their own separate access? And that can be attached with adding an exterior door, or again, a detached unit with a walkway that goes around. One client, we're doing an existing where they'll have a back door to the garage, so they can use the main residence garage, but they have a walkway that goes out to the detached structure. So again, those are just a couple of examples to give you an idea that there really is no one size fits all, and we can, quote, create the size that fits your needs and your family and your future.
And some clients we have one client now who has a 20-something who's going to a local university. So that's going to be for her to stay at. We have another client who have elderly parents who, everybody kind of wants to be closer to home. So that's what we say when we say multi-generational.
Yeah.
We're going to say that 3 times.
In addition to that, I just had a client ask about handicap needs, and I was going to say ADU, but that's wrong. ADA, excuse me, apologize for that. And so we've had multiple circumstances where, in one circumstance, the sister was living in the home. She needed extra assistance because she was in a wheelchair. So we created an ensuite so she could have her own separate bathroom with added privacy. In addition to that, we had a client who the spouse was completely wheelchair bound. So we reinforced the trusses, or we backed some of the framing in the house where they can install grab bars in this case. Because they were securing or installing a lift in the ceiling, we reinforced the trusses up there. So it really runs the gamut.
And that lift was for getting in and out of the tub.
So lift, and then it was a pivot where it would put the person inside the tub. So there's all kinds of circumstances like that, and accommodations we can make in the framing to reinforce. Again, grab bars by the toilet or in the shower. There's ADA toilets and things like that, and that could quite easily be installed. It's just a matter of letting our plumber know, and you selecting what you want and where you want. Different types of shower heads. We can, in that case with the ensuite, we lowered the shower head so when the person would roll into the shower, it was accessible by reach, by in a prone sitting position. And so again, these are all considerations that we have experience with and we can take into account when creating the estate plan.
And in other smaller things that might not necessarily seem like a big deal to us, but curbs, whether it's in the bathroom or going from the garage into the main house, there's usually a step up there. Well, in this case, we had our concrete guy come out and make just a we call it a ramp, but there's a better word for it.
From the walkway to the front, what we call the finished floor, it basically graded up. There was no drop down, and so our concrete, our slab guy basically just contoured where it was just completely smooth, and it was a gradual rise in there because when you're in a wheelchair, it depends on the pitch and everything like that. So actually we did that in the garage as well. So from the garage into the house, that was also done. Back patio, front entry, all that was done and contoured and graded, it's not the right word, but sloped with the concrete and formed up to create ramps for ease of wheelchair use.
And a lot of these changes or implementations are, they're not really an additional cost, it's just location, and it's not something extra that we charge, it's just, locating things for accessibility. And so they're very straightforward, they're not difficult to do. and they don't cost any extra time or money. So we're always happy to do that.
It is a matter of timing in some circumstances. Anything can be done after the fact. It's just a matter of convenience and getting the best product when we can do that. And so, of course, all that would be discussed up front preliminarily. And so we can create a list of needs and wants and desires prior to going to permitting, so we can get those on the plans and notes and things like that for the subcontractor to be able to price out that appropriately if there are any special requirements. But throwing in a 2x4 on the wall to reinforce that, to attach handicap bars and stuff like that, it's very straightforward. And
Bigger
very easy to
doors,
do.
wider entranceways, those are, you just throw those on the plan, they may change real quick.
For the most part, all of our plans will have a 30-inch door, which is really the minimum for the wheelchair width to be able to navigate through. But for the most part, we'll make it 34 inches or 32, 34, 36 inches to maximize that space without having to worry about that. The cost of a size of a pre-hung door between 30 inches and 36 inches is insignificant. There almost is no cost because they produce these things in such mass quantity that doing things like that is not a big deal. So,
and if anybody's watching right now, if you have any questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat.
on
Maddie,
the
whatever
that you're
whatever
using.
platform you're watching, you can send us a question. Maddie will send those over to us. I want to touch real quick on the granny flat bill.
Yep.
There is a bill, and some folks may have seen that. I believe it has not passed yet, but it's going through the Florida legislature, and it's a Senate bill, or SB 48, House Bill 313, and they call it the granny flat bill, and that's to do with accessory dwelling unit. So when we say ADU, that's what that stands for, is accessory dwelling unit, or like a detached apartment. It's becoming a lot more desirable here in Florida. We have we've recently, within the last 6 months, had double the amount of people asking. So, and that's to address that here in the state of Florida. So this bill will do what its main purpose is to create kind of a uniform set of guidelines for the entire state of Florida. So what counties and municipalities can do and what they cannot do. And so I won't go into the details because that may change. It's still kind of being batted about, but it's called the Granny Flat Bill. So you can just Google that and that'll come up. And I would say another, as far as the ADU and how big that can be, and I will speak strictly for Orange County. That's where a majority of the people requesting an ADU are. So specifically speaking for Orange County, no other counties or municipalities. An ADU, the size of an ADU can be, the maximum it can be is 1,000 square feet, or 50% of the main residence.
No more than 50%.
Yes, whatever is less. So in this case, let's give an example. So if your house is 2,000 square feet or bigger, the maximum it can be is 1,000 square feet. If your house is smaller than that, say it's 1,800 square feet, the ADU can only be 50% of that. So that'd be 900 square feet. That's the maximum it can be. So we always have that question. It's a very important question. The ADU that we've had designed, we specifically had it just a hair under 1,000 square feet, just so we're not pushing any, we didn't want to give the county any reason to send it back. So, if most people, when they're living on larger lots, are going to want to, maximize the square footage that they can utilize on that lot. So,
and that's roughly the standard. They might have slight adjustments from county to county and city to city, but you can just message us and we can just check the zoning guide for each county and city, depending on where you're looking at. Don't worry about that. That's fairly straightforward.
That all gets ironed out beforehand. That's why we have preliminary meetings with the clients to kind of go over that, because especially with this granny flat bill and a lot of other legislation coming out, there's a lot of information flying around. So as we all know on the internet, we get inundated with information. So we always like to double check and make sure that that's...
Because like Abraham Lincoln said, don't trust everything you read on the internet. So.
He did. I don't really buy it, but that's what he said. So we'll just go with that.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought there was something else I was going to say. And again, we always go back to if you're in, in the process with an agent, or if you want to talk with us about lot searches, we would love you or your agent to reach out to us if you have any questions. Just due diligence, please, please, please. Make sure that you have all the necessary information before you purchase a lot.
Yep. When you
We
buy,
don't want to
and you
give you any
contact
horror
us-
stories, but yeah, just
it's
be
too
very-
late if
yeah.
you contact us and you've already bought the lot.
Yeah.
Having said that,
Please be
I
cautious.
do we can recommend environmental assessors, civil engineers, surveyors, things like that we work with on a regular basis. We have a lot of experience working with wetlands and wetlands mitigation. Actually, most of the houses we build tend to be in wetlands now because the county and the state are taking a much more proactive role in limiting and restricting what you can do with the wetlands and then the amount of it as well. So we can definitely help you with that, and it's important. I've gone through, there's a community that we build in called Wedgefield out by the Lake Nona area, which is southeast Orange County in Central Florida. And so that's very prone to wetlands area. And some of the larger tract communities that have larger lots are prone to more wetlands. And so we have extensive experience in that. And I've gone through in some of our communities where there's a bunch of on your lots available, and I've gone out and priced out lots per square foot of uplands, which is non-wetlands, to really get a barometer of the best value for lots out there within reason. And so we can also help prospective clients and or agents with that as well, with what we found.
Yeah. I remembered what I wanted to say. In regards to the ADU, kind of going back to that, we can customize those plans too. We do now. We are limited because, as we said before, the maximum you're going to be allowed to have is 1,000 square feet, regardless of how big the home is. So once you go over 2,000 square feet, 1,000 square feet in the ADU is the max. However, we are able to kind of change that around. Currently, we have under construction a 1-bed, 1-bath ADU. We are able to make that a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, rearranging and kind of maximizing the usable space there.
Both are 900, I think coincidentally, or not coincidentally, 993 square feet under that threshold there. And so because the 1-bedroom, 1-bath has a lot of, quote, usable space, we had an alternative floor plan that was a 2-bedroom, 2-bath floor plan as well. And so ultimately it's 4 walls, so we can reconfigure that.
It's a box.
way.
It's a box.
Yeah.
It is literally just a box.
You can make it a nice box now.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of exterior features, and that's something else as well. That question kind of comes up a lot, is that because we had a previous client that wanted to go from kind of the conventional Florida style stucco to kind of a board and batten, hardy board and batten style. And so Richard went ahead and did an AI generated image of what that would look like, and it does look nice. So there's kind of the new American style is what we're calling it now, what they're calling it now. Right. And so as an example, when you look at a front elevation of one of our plans, it's just an example. The designer can go in and change that to whatever you want, whether it's board and batten, stucco, siding, a stone facade, or anything like that. That can be mixed and matched. So it really depends on you, your taste, and your budget. Everything comes down to your budget and the buildable area. So
and your timeline. That's usually typically not a problem though. So and again, I'm kind of reiterating this, but we can also, with the ADA, we can also do that in the ADU. So if you have people who are in need of ADA modifications, we can absolutely do that. We can, whatever their need, we would have a formal discussion about that, certain things, because Kurt said, we can do something as small as moving the shower head down, a few feet above the ground, or, get as technical as you want.
It's fairly straightforward. This isn't Artemis rocket science.
Yeah.
Get it? Because we just had a rocket launch here in Florida.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But be here all week, folks.
Right. And builders, man, we're good.
Dad's shaking his head right now.
I think that wraps it up. So we usually like to keep it quick, and so please follow up with us on any social media platform, text, email, calls. did somebody have a question?
More of a comment to the top of the document.
Okay. Oh. Yep, we will get back to you.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So yeah,
Yes.
we had just a question that we needed to review there. Sorry for the pause, but in closing remarks, we always want to thank you for joining us again. This is an ongoing thing, so please feel free to reach out to us on any social media platform. Call, text, email. Our numbers and contact information should be everywhere, and so we will follow up again with another email and a text reminder. Please feel free to share this with anybody. We did have an agent that wasn't sure if this was just for agents. This is for everybody. There is no limitation on who this goes out to. So thank you to that agent for asking that question. That was really important. We appreciate that.
And agents, we pay commission at slab, not at the CO. So you don't have to wait however long to get paid. So
yep, FYI. Yeah. So you can always share, like, and comment. What up, gang? So again, so I think we beat that horse to death. So thank you once again. We appreciate you listening. And this will be on YouTube. So if you ever need to come back and you had any questions or we made a comment that you wanted to talk about, you can reference it or share that again on our Wettermann Homes YouTube page. So thank you again. Appreciate you.
Take care, everyone.